Hello. Today we taste champagne. Not just any champagne. Today we taste the granddaddy of all champagnes. We taste Dom Pérignon, and I'm super excited to taste this and share this with you. Dom Pérignon is run by Moet Hennessy, which is part of the LVMH conglomerate, the luxury fashion giants, and now the champagne giants, or the wine industry giants. It all dates back to the 18th century when there was a monk named Dom Pierre Pérignon. And he always thought that he used to make wine, and he always thought that in order to get closer to God, you always have to work harder and harder. And in that way, he strived to make the best champagne or the best wine possible. And that's good for us, isn't it? The few notable things that Dom Pierre Pérignon did in order to make incredible champagne, one of them is blending wines. He figured that if you blend 2 or 3 grapes together, you would be able to make a more spectacular product. So for this champagne which is made, the Pinot Noir and the Chardonnay are blended. They could be 60-40, they could be 50-50, depending on how the climatic conditions are or how the vintage is that year. One very influential decision he made was to preserve the bottles and ferment them in glass bottles. Prior to that, champagne was sold in wooden casks, and what that would do was bubbles were a problem because the bubbles would explode. So he found a way in order to contain the bubbles, and that is what commercialized or made famous the way champagne was sold in glass bottles and the way the bubbles were preserved. And he's the man behind the bubbles. A very special, unique thing about the Dom Pérignon, which I quite find amazing, is the fact that they normally take 7 or 8 years from after the harvest, which is after the grapes are picked, to age the bottle of wine in the bottle itself. So for example, if a wine comes out in 2002, if the vintage says 2002, it probably means that the wine came out only in 2010 or 2009. The special thing about the vintage that we're drinking today, which is the 2008 vintage, is that it spent a few years additional than the 7 years that it averages. So this has spent 9 years in the bottle itself, which should show us a more creamier, more complex kind of aroma, a more complex kind of setting that the wine has had from all the lees, which is the dead yeast from the secondary fermentation which is done in the bottle. It should make the wine a little more creamier, a little more complex, and offer us some very interesting aromas that we'll soon find out. Let's see how Dom Pérignon really tastes as a champagne in itself. And here we are. Let's pour some nice bubbles. Oh, look at those bubbles. Unbelievable color. I don't think I've ever seen bubbles like these ever in champagnes that I've ever had. It smells like an absolute powerhouse of a champagne. There's this literal smokiness that you get. Top of my nose, I get this smokiness. I get this nice mintiness. These amazing crushed white flowers is what I smell in this wine. There's also a lot of baked brioche kind of smell. These baked fruits kind of, you get these nice cashews, these nice peanuts, all of that smells going on in it as well. But primarily there's a lot of tropical fruits, a lot of stone fruits. You get a little bit of citrus as well in this. You get some peach and pear. Another very interesting smell I get is of these a little ripe apples, which is very interesting. So I get these ripe apples, there's also a bit of spiciness to this wine. Let's see what it tastes like. This wine has an amazing mouthfeel. It just submerges inside your mouth and it makes it something else. Unbelievable. It's got very similar aromas. It tastes very similar to what it smells like, but there's like this full body complexity to this wine which just kind of fills your mouth up, which is beautiful. It tastes exactly like the beach from Ibiza that I visited last year. I'm not even kidding. It feels like I'm tasting an ocean, but it's the most delicious ocean taste that I've ever experienced. Because there's this saltiness to this wine, but there's also this beautiful aroma just gushing down your mouth, which just makes it one of the most pleasant experiences that I've had when it comes to tasting champagne. An absolutely harmonious wine in my opinion, because it just blends everything so well together. From the acidity, because it's got this great acidity in the wine which completely balances with the overgrowing fruitiness and the vanilla, the coconut kind of aroma, which is also blending in beautifully. An absolute beauty of a wine in my opinion, because while you can drink this now and enjoy it, it has endless potential to still be aged further. You can even open this 3 years down the line, it'll have a different kind of taste completely. And not even kidding, if I start drinking this in the next 15 minutes, this wine is so complex that in the next 15 minutes I'll be tasting something new. The vintage 2008 basically shows what Dom Pérignon stands for in terms of quality, and it shows the way the terroir, the vineyard, it shows the 2008 vintage as is that was done in Champagne. They're always striving for quality, so much so that in some years they don't even make their wines, and that shows you how much quality and innovation means for them, how much quality means for them. So if they've had a bad year or a year that they don't want to make wine, they simply say no, that they won't make wine. So you know that whatever you're drinking is coming from the best, and it's going to be the best. While you may have seen in videos or you may have seen in movies how champagne like this, how Doms specifically are used for celebrating victories, or for celebrating anything of occasion, or for even taking champagne and dropping down onto your Rolexes at nightclubs, but it comes from a place of virtue. So this champagne can be appreciated, this can be drunk at any time, and it'll have the same effect because of the luxury that it has or it encompasses. So enjoy the champagne. You can pair it with some nice, you can pair it however you like. It's priced at around 14,000 rupees, which basically makes it on a more expensive, it's a more expensive kind of champagne, but honestly, it's worth every buck. I'm not kidding when I say this. When you're paying for this, you're paying for quality, you're paying for 200 years of winemaking techniques, you're paying for people who are pioneers in the champagne making industry, and if it's anybody that's doing it right, it's these guys. So if you want to gift a bottle, you want to celebrate as an occasion, or like me, you want to make a video with it, do whatever you like, but if it's Dom Pérignon, then you're doing it right. Thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good day. And cheers. What a wine.